Zariah Cole wasn't supposed to exist. The girl who could dismantle 5 attackers in under 15 seconds died 3 years ago in another country, buried under coffee pots and diner aprons, and the desperate hope that no one would ever see what she really was. But the man with blood on his collar and death in his eyes just watched her body move like a weapon, watched her hands break bones with surgical precision, and now he was smiling, because he didn't see a waitress who got lucky. He saw a soldier who just made the fatal mistake of being seen. Welcome back to Afro-Korean Stories HQ, my beautiful and amazing Pride family. Your love and support mean everything, and I promise to keep giving you the best stories as I learn, grow, and improve every single day. If this is your first time seeing one of my videos, drop a comment below telling me where you're watching from and hit that subscribe button to officially join the Pride family. That is the best and only way to support us. And in return, we promise to bring you captivating, emotional, and addictive stories every single day. Now, let's dive into today's story. The rain came down hard that night, not the kind that makes you run for cover. The kind that soaks through your jacket and reminds you that some things can't be avoided. Zariah Cole balanced the delivery bag on her hip as she cut through the alley behind Jade Palace. Mel's Diner didn't usually do late-night runs, but $60 was $60, and rent didn't care about her feelings. The alley smelled like wet concrete and rotting garbage. Her sneakers splashed through puddles. She was halfway through when she heard it. Footsteps. Too many of them. She looked up. 5 men surrounded another man near the dumpsters. The lone guy stood perfectly still, hands in his coat pockets, like he was waiting for a bus instead of staring down a beating. Or worse. Zariah's first instinct was to turn around. Mind her business. Go home. Stay invisible. That's what she'd been doing for 3 years. But then the first attacker swung. A metal pipe aimed straight at the man's skull. And something inside Zariah snapped. She didn't think. Didn't plan. Didn't breathe. Her body moved before her brain caught up. She grabbed the pipe mid-swing and twisted. Bone cracked. The attacker screamed and dropped. The second man lunged at her with a knife. She sidestepped, drove her elbow into his throat, and watched him collapse like a puppet with cut strings. 3 left. They came at her together this time, thinking numbers would matter. They were wrong. She redirected a punch into another man's face, swept a leg, dodged a kick. Her hands moved with terrifying precision, like her body remembered a language her mind tried to forget. 15 seconds. That's all it took. 5 men on the ground, some groaning, some silent. Zariah stood there, chest heaving, rain pouring down her face, and that's when she felt it. Eyes on her. The man they'd tried to kill was staring at her. Not with fear, not with gratitude. With recognition. He stepped forward slowly, like he was approaching a wild animal. His face was calm, almost beautiful in a sharp, dangerous way. Dark eyes that seemed to see straight through her skin into the past she'd buried. "You fight like someone who's done this before," he said. His voice was quiet, controlled, Korean accent wrapped around perfect English. Zariah's throat went dry. "I don't know what you're talking about." He smiled. Just barely, the kind of smile that said, "Liar." "You moved like a soldier, not self-defense, not luck." He tilted his head. "Who trained you?" "Nobody." "Then you're a miracle." He reached into his coat and pulled out a card. Black. Expensive. A name embossed in silver. Taejun Ryu. He held it out to her. Zariah didn't take it. Couldn't. Her hands were shaking now, adrenaline crashing hard. "You saved my life tonight," he said. "That means something where I come from. I didn't do it for you." "I know." He stepped closer, close enough that she could smell rain and cologne and something metallic. Blood, maybe. But now they've seen you, and they won't forget. Her stomach dropped. Who are they? People who don't forgive humiliation. He placed the card on top of her delivery bag. "When they come looking, call me." "Huh, I'm not calling anyone." "Then good luck." He turned and walked toward the street, hands back in his pockets, like 5 men hadn't just tried to kill him. Zariah stood frozen in the rain, staring at the card. Her past wasn't supposed to follow her here. She'd left that life behind, buried it, locked it away under diner shifts and tips and the smell of coffee and bacon grease. But 15 seconds had ripped it all open. And now the man with the dark eyes and dangerous smile knew what she really was. A weapon pretending to be human. 3 days passed. Zariah went back to her routine like nothing happened. Morning shift at Mel's diner, coffee pots, bacon, regulars who tipped in coins. She told herself it was over. The alley, the fight, the man with the card, just a bad night, a glitch. Something she could bury under enough pancake orders and force smiles, but her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Every time the door opened, her body tensed. Every time someone looked at her too long, her pulse spiked. She kept the card in her apron pocket, touching it like a talisman she didn't want but couldn't throw away. On the 3rd day, Marcus, the line cook, leaned through the window. "Yo, Z, you good? You've been jumpy as hell." "I'm fine." "You don't look fine." She poured another coffee, smiled, lied. "Just tired." What she didn't know was that someone had filmed the whole thing. A security camera above the alley, grainy footage, dark and rain-soaked, but clear enough to see a waitress drop 5 men in 15 seconds. The video didn't go viral. It didn't hit the internet. It went somewhere worse. It spread through the underground, quiet circles. People who understood what they were watching. People who recognized skill when they saw it. And one of those people was Taejun Ryu. He watched the footage 17 times, not because he didn't believe it, because he needed to understand it. The way she moved wasn't random, wasn't lucky. It was trained, military, tactical, her footwork, her angles, the way she redirected force instead of absorbing it. Someone had taught her to kill, and whoever that someone was, they were very, very good. Taejun leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled, eyes locked on the screen. "Find her," he told his second-in-command. "We already know where she works." "Then I'll go myself." The bell above the diner door chimed at 2:47 p.m. Zariah looked up from wiping down the counter, and her stomach dropped. Taejun Ryu walked in like he owned the place. Suit, dark coat, eyes that scanned the room with the efficiency of someone who always calculated exits. He sat at the counter, right in front of her. "Coffee," he said. "Black." Her hands were steady as she poured, barely. "You shouldn't be here." "Neither should you." He took a sip. "But here we are." She set the pot down harder than necessary. "What do you want?" "To talk." "We have nothing to talk about." "The 5 men you put in the hospital would disagree." Her blood went cold. There's a video." His voice stayed calm, almost kind. "Security footage from the alley. It's been passed around. People have seen it." "What people?" "The kind who don't forget." He pulled out his phone and slid it across the counter. The video played. Silent. Grainy, but unmistakable. Zariah watched herself move like someone else. Someone she used to be. "Turn it off. You need to see what they see." He took the phone back. "You're not just some random girl who got lucky. You're trained, and now people know it. So what? I defended you. That's it. Those men worked for someone who doesn't take humiliation lightly." He leaned forward. "They're going to come looking for you, not because you hurt them, because you embarrassed them." Zariah's chest tightened. "Then I'll deal with it." "Will you?" His eyes locked on hers. "Because they won't come alone next time. They'll come prepared." She wanted to scream, wanted to throw the coffee pot, wanted to run. But running wouldn't help. It never did. "Why do you care?" she asked. For the first time, his expression softened, just a fraction. "Because I owe you my life. And where I come from, that means something." He stood, dropped a 50 on the counter, and slid the black card next to it. "When they come, and they will, call me." "I'm not calling anyone." "Then I hope you're ready." He headed for the door, then paused. "One more thing. Whoever trained you? They did a hell of a job." The door chimed. He was gone. Zariah stared at the card. The 50. The video still burned into her mind. That night, she couldn't sleep. She sat on her couch with the lights off, staring at her phone, scrolling through nothing. The card sat on the coffee table. Waiting. Zariah told herself she wasn't going to call. For 5 days, she held out. But on the 6th day, a man came into the diner. He didn't order food, didn't sit down, just stood near the door staring at her with cold, deliberate eyes. When she approached, he smiled. "You're the girl from the video." Her blood turned to ice. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sure you don't." He stepped closer. "My boss wants to meet you. Personally. Tell your boss I'm not interested." That wasn't a request. Marcus stepped out from the kitchen, spatula in hand. "Yo, man. You ordering or leaving?" The man glanced at Marcus, then back at Zariah. "I'll be seeing you." He left. Zariah's hands shook so hard she dropped a plate. It shattered on the floor. That night, she called the number on the card. Taejun's penthouse sat on the 40th floor of a building that didn't allow walk-ins. Zariah had to be escorted up by a man in a suit who didn't speak, didn't smile, just pressed the elevator button and waited. When the doors opened, Taejun was standing by the window, looking out over the city. "You came," he said without turning around. "You said I'd need to." "I'm rarely wrong." He turned. "Sit." She didn't. He walked to a glass table and spread out a series of photographs. Men, faces, locations. "These are the people hunting you," he said. Zariah's stomach twisted. "All of them? Just the ones I know about." He tapped one photo. "This man runs a crew in Koreatown. The 5 you took down, they worked for him. He considers what you did a personal insult." "I was defending you." "That doesn't matter to him. You made him look weak. That's unforgivable." She stared at the photos. Faces that would haunt her. Men who wouldn't stop. "What do you want from me?" she asked. "I want to protect you." "Why?" "Because you saved my life, and because you're too useful to waste." Her jaw tightened. "I'm not joining your gang." "It's not a gang. It's a family. A business." He leaned against the table. "I'm offering you a place, protection, anonymity. In exchange, you help me train my people. Teach them what you know." "I don't know anything." "Stop lying." His voice sharpened. "You moved like someone who's been in war, someone who's killed before, someone who was built for this." Zariah's chest constricted. "I'm not that person anymore." "Then who are you?" He stepped closer. "A waitress hiding behind coffee pots, pretending your past doesn't exist? How long do you think that lasts?" "As long as I need it to." "They've already found you, Zariah." He said her name like he'd known it all along. "You can keep pretending you're safe. Or you can stand with me and actually be safe." She wanted to say no. Wanted to walk out. But the man at the diner flashed in her mind. The cold smile. The threat that wasn't a threat. "If I say no, then you're on your own." Taejun's expression didn't change. "And they'll find you. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but they will find you. And when they do, you'll wish you'd called me sooner." Zariah's throat burned. "I need time to think." "You don't have time." "Then I guess I'm on my own." She turned toward the elevator. Zariah. She stopped but didn't turn around. The card. Keep it close. The next week was hell. Men started showing up at the diner, not threatening, just watching. Sitting in booths, ordering coffee they didn't drink, staring. One night, as she walked home, she heard footsteps behind her. She sped up. The footsteps matched her pace. She turned a corner. So did they. Her heart hammered in her chest. Her keys dug into her palm. She spun around, ready to fight, but no one was there. Just shadows. Just silence. She made it home, locked every lock, and sat on the floor with her back against the door. The card was on the counter. She stared at it for hours, and she realized Tae-jun had been right. She was out of time. The next morning, she didn't go to work. She went to his penthouse. When the elevator doors opened, he was waiting. "I accept your offer," she said. No tears, no drama, just exhaustion. Tae-jun nodded once. Then welcome to the family. Zariah didn't feel welcomed. She felt trapped. But trapped was better than dead. Zariah lasted 2 days before she tried to go back to normal. She told herself the penthouse meeting was just insurance, a backup plan. She didn't have to actually work for Tae-jun. She could still be Zariah the waitress. She was wrong. It happened on a Thursday night. Late shift. The diner had closed at 11, and she was walking to the bus stop when she felt it. That pull in her gut that said, "Run." She didn't make it 3 steps. They came from both sides, 4 men this time. Not the clumsy thugs from the alley. These were professionals. The first one moved fast, too fast, a punch aimed at her ribs. She blocked it, but the impact rattled her bones. The second grabbed her from behind, locked her arms. She threw her head back, felt his nose crunch, but he didn't let go. The third pulled a knife. Zariah's body switched into autopilot. She drove her heel into the second man's knee, heard it pop. He screamed and released her. She spun, caught the knife hand, twisted until the blade dropped. But the fourth man hit her hard across the face. Her vision exploded into stars. Blood filled her mouth. Copper, hot. She stumbled back, trying to stay upright, trying to breathe. They circled her like wolves. "Should have stayed out of it," one of them said. "Now you're a message." She didn't respond. Couldn't. Her ears were ringing. Her lip was split. Her ribs screamed. But her body remembered. Muscle memory is a beautiful, terrible thing. When the knife came at her again, she moved, redirected, used his momentum, drove him into the wall. When the next man lunged, she swept his leg and drove her elbow into his spine. But there were too many, and she was tired, and the hits kept coming. A fist to her gut, a kick to her thigh, another punch that split her eyebrow. She tasted more blood, felt it drip down her chin. And for the first time in 3 years, she felt the soldier wake up fully, that old rhythm, the one that kept her alive in places where mercy was a fantasy. She stopped defending, started attacking. Her strikes turned brutal, efficient. She aimed for throats, knees, pressure points. One man dropped, then another. The last 2 hesitated. She didn't. By the time it was over, she was standing in the middle of the street, gasping, shaking, bleeding. They were all down, groaning, broken, but she wasn't victorious. She was terrified, because she'd felt it. That cold, mechanical focus. The part of her that didn't care about mercy. The part that had been trained to finish the job. The part she'd spent 3 years trying to kill. She limped into an alley, collapsed against a brick wall, and pressed her hand to her ribs. Everything hurt. But worse than the pain was the clarity. She couldn't outrun this. Couldn't hide behind diner aprons and breakfast specials. This was her life now. Whether she wanted it or not. She pulled out her phone with shaking, bloody fingers and called Tae-jun. He answered on the first ring. "Zariah." "I'm in." Her voice cracked. "I'm in. Just come get me." "Where are you?" She told him. He was there in 8 minutes. When the black car pulled up, Tae-jun stepped out and saw her. Bloodied. broken, leaning against the wall like it was the only thing holding her up. His jaw tightened. He crossed to her in 3 strides, eyes scanning her injuries with sharp precision. "How many?" he asked. "4. How many are still breathing?" "All of them." "Barely." He almost smiled. "Almost." "Let's go." He helped her into the car. Didn't ask questions. Didn't lecture. Just drove. 20 minutes later, they were in a safe house on the east side. Clean, secure, anonymous. Taejun sat her down on the couch and brought a first aid kit. "You should have called sooner," he said, cleaning the cut above her eye. "I thought I could handle it." "You did handle it. That's not the point." She looked at him. Really looked at him. "What is the point?" "That you don't have to do this alone anymore." Something in her chest cracked. Not broke, just softened. She nodded. "I accept your offer," she said again, quieter this time. Final. Taejun stopped cleaning her wounds and met her eyes. "Then starting tomorrow, you're under my protection, officially. You'll have a handler, a secure location, and a role in the family." "What role?" "The one you were born for." She didn't argue. For the first time in 3 years, Zariah Cole stopped pretending. She wasn't a waitress, she was a weapon, and now she was learning to choose her own aim. The safe house became her new home. It wasn't much. A studio apartment with reinforced locks, blackout curtains, and a view of a parking lot. But it was hers, and more importantly, it was invisible. Taejun assigned her a handler named Jin, mid-40s, quiet, efficient. He checked on her twice a day and never asked questions she didn't want to answer. But the real work started 3 days later. Taejun showed up at her door at 6 a.m. "Get dressed," he said. "You're coming with me." "Where?" "To meet the family." The warehouse sat in an industrial zone near the docks. From the outside, it looked abandoned. Inside, it was alive. Men trained in a makeshift gym. Weights clanged, punching bags swung. The air smelled like sweat and metal. Everyone stopped when Taejun walked in, and they stared when they saw Zariah. "This is Zariah," Taejun said. "No explanation, no backstory. She'll be training you." Silence. One man stepped forward, big, scarred, the kind of guy who thought muscle meant power. "Her?" He laughed. "She looks like she weighs 100 pounds. Zariah met his eyes. "Want to test that theory?" The room went quiet. The man grinned. "Yeah, I do." Taejun stepped back, arms crossed, watching. The man charged. Zariah didn't move until the last second. Then she sidestepped, hooked his ankle, and used his momentum to slam him face first into the mat. 3 seconds. He groaned, tried to get up. She put her knee on his spine. "Muscle doesn't mean anything if you can't control it," she said. She stood, looked at the rest of them. Anyone else? No one moved. Taejun's expression didn't change, but his eyes gleamed. "Get to work," he said. For the next 3 weeks, Zariah trained them. She taught them how to read body language, how to anticipate attacks, how to disable someone twice their size. She didn't explain where she learned it, didn't talk about her past, but they respected her. Not because she was nice, because she was terrifying. And Taejun watched her, every session, every drill, every moment she moved through his men like water through stone. He watched the way she corrected form, the way she demonstrated techniques with brutal precision, the way she never flinched, but he also saw the cracks, the way her hands shook after particularly intense drills, the way she went quiet when someone asked the wrong question, the way she stood apart, always keeping distance. She was a soldier pretending to be whole, and he recognized it because he was the same. Their first real conversation happened 4 weeks in. Taejun found her on the roof of the warehouse, smoking a cigarette she'd bummed off Jin. "I didn't know you smoked," he said. "I don't, usually." She exhaled slowly. "Bad habit from a bad time." He leaned against the railing beside her. You're good at this. Teaching. I'm good at a lot of things I wish I wasn't. He didn't push. Just stood there. Quiet. After a long silence, she spoke again. Why did you really bring me here? I told you. Protection. You could have just paid for security. Put me in a safe house and left me alone. She looked at him. But you didn't. You brought me into your world. Why? Taejun considered his answer carefully. Because people like us don't survive alone. People like us? People who've done things they can't undo. People who carry violence in their bones. He met her eyes. You know what I am, what I've done, and you're still here? That's rare. Zariah's throat tightened. I'm here because I don't have a choice. You always have a choice. His voice softened. You just finally made the smart one. She wanted to argue, but she couldn't, because he was right. The shift happened slowly. Glances held too long during training. Arguments that felt charged with something neither could name. Moments where their hands brushed and neither pulled away. Taejun started staying later, watching her train, asking questions that had nothing to do with combat. Where are you from? Nowhere important? Everyone's from somewhere. Not me. But she started asking too. Why do you do this? The family. The business. Because someone has to. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. They circled each other like planets, drawn by gravity, afraid of collision. Everything changed on a Tuesday night. One of Taejun's supply trucks got ambushed on the highway. 3 men injured, 1 critical. Zariah went with him to the scene. Blood on the asphalt, broken glass, chaos. She helped stabilize the injured, moved with medical precision that surprised even her. But a piece of shrapnel had caught her arm. Deep. Bleeding. She didn't notice until Taejun grabbed her wrist. You're hurt. I'm fine. You're bleeding through your jacket. Back at the safe house, he cleaned the wound himself. His hands were steady, gentle, but she saw them tremble when he threaded the needle. You don't have to do this, she said. Jin can... I want to. The room went quiet except for the sound of thread pulling through skin. When he finished, he didn't let go of her arm. His thumb traced the edge of the bandage. You scare me, he said quietly. Why? Because I care what happens to you. And I haven't cared about anyone in a long time. Zariah's breath caught. She looked at him, really looked, and saw the same fear in his eyes that lived in her chest. I'm scared too, she whispered. Of what? Of this. Of you. Of wanting something I know I'll ruin. Taejun leaned closer, close enough that she could feel his breath. Then let's ruin it together. He didn't kiss her. Not yet. But the promise hung between them like a live wire. Dangerous. Inevitable. The call came at 3 a.m. Zariah was awake. She was always awake. Sleep didn't come easy when you'd lived the life she had. Her phone buzzed, Taejun's name on the screen. Hello? We have a problem. His voice was ice. Minjun's daughter. She's gone. Minjun ran the allied family in Koreatown. 6-year-old daughter. Sweet kid who called Taejun uncle. Zariah's blood went cold. Taken? 20 minutes ago. From her bedroom. Window was open. No signs of struggle. Where are you? On my... way to you. Get dressed. The warehouse was chaos when they arrived. Men shouting, phones ringing. Minjun sitting at a table with his head in his hands, shoulders shaking. Taejun's second-in-command, Dae, spread photos across the table. Security footage. Grainy images of 2 men in masks. They left this. Dae held up a phone, a video message. On the screen, the little girl sat tied to a chair, scared but unharmed. A voice off camera spoke in Korean. You have 12 hours, 5 million, or we send her back in pieces. Minjun made a sound like a wounded animal. Taejun's jaw tightened, but his eyes stayed cold. Calculating. Zariah stepped forward and studied the video. Play it again." Day looked at Tae-jun. He nodded. She watched. Once, twice, 3 times. Then she pointed at the screen. "There. Background. That's a warehouse window. Industrial area. You can see the reflection of a water tower in the glass." Everyone stared at her. "There are only 4 warehouses in the city with that style of water tower nearby," she continued. 2 are active. 1's been demolished. That leaves 1. "How do you know that?" Day asked. Zariah didn't answer, just looked at Tae-jun. "I know where she is. They took 3 cars, 12 men. Zariah rode with Tae-jun. "You don't have to do this," he said. "This isn't your fight. A kid's in danger. That makes it my fight. You don't owe us anything. I'm not doing it for you." She checked the gun he'd given her. "I'm doing it because it's right." He looked at her for a long moment. "When this is over, we're going to talk." "About what?" "About the fact that I'm falling for you and I don't know how to stop." Zariah's breath caught. But before she could respond, they arrived. The warehouse sat dark and abandoned at the edge of the industrial zone. Too quiet. Too perfect. "It's a trap," Day whispered. "I know," Tae-jun said, "but we don't have a choice." Zariah scanned the building. 2 entrances, 4 windows, 1 skylight. "I'll go through the roof," she said. "You hit the front. They'll focus on you. I'll get the girl." "That's suicide." "No, that's strategy." She looked at him. "Trust me." Tae-jun hesitated, then nodded. "Don't die." "Wasn't planning on it." Zariah climbed the fire escape in silence, every muscle coiled, every sense sharp. She'd done this before, in deserts, in jungles, in cities that didn't exist on maps. This was just another mission, except it wasn't. Because for the first time in years she cared about the outcome. She reached the skylight, peered through. 6 men, the girl in the corner, zip-tied to a chair, crying softly. Zariah's chest tightened. She heard the front door crash open. Gunfire erupted, shouting. The men in the warehouse rushed toward the noise. Zariah dropped through the skylight. She landed in a crouch, silent as a shadow. The girl looked up, eyes wide, terrified. Zariah put a finger to her lips, moved toward her, but one guard stayed back, saw her, raised his gun. Zariah was faster. She closed the distance in 3 steps, disarmed him, drove her elbow into his throat. He dropped. Another guard turned, fired. The bullet grazed her shoulder, hot, sharp. She didn't stop. She grabbed his wrist, twisted, heard bones snap, took his gun, used it. 2 more came at her. She fought like something possessed, brutal, efficient, unstoppable. When it was over, she was covered in blood, not all of it hers. She cut the zip ties, lifted the girl into her arms. "You're safe now," she whispered. "I've got you." The girl wrapped her arms around Zariah's neck and sobbed. Back at the warehouse, Minjun fell to his knees when he saw his daughter. He cried. Thanked God. Thanked Zariah. But Zariah couldn't hear him. Her hands were shaking, her shoulder burned. The adrenaline was crashing and everything was spinning. She walked outside, leaned against the wall, tried to breathe. Tae-jun found her there. "You're bleeding." "It's nothing." "Zariah," I said it's nothing. But her voice cracked. He stepped closer, cupped her face with both hands. "You saved her. You brought her home. You're a hero." "I'm not a hero." Tears burned her eyes. "I'm just someone who knows how to hurt people." "No." His voice was firm. "You're someone who knows how to protect people. There's a difference." She looked at him, and something inside her broke. He pulled her close, held her while she shook. "I've got you," he whispered. "I've got you." And then she kissed him. Not soft, not gentle, desperate, like she'd been drowning, and he was air. He kissed her back with the same intensity, his hands in her hair, her fingers gripping his jacket. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathing hard. "This is dangerous," she whispered. "I know. We shouldn't. I don't care." She laughed, just a little, through tears. You're insane. Maybe. He kissed her forehead. But I'm yours. For 2 weeks, Zaraya let herself believe in something good. She woke up in Taejun's penthouse, trained his men during the day, fell asleep in his arms at night. It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and for the first time in years she felt human. But peace never lasts. The first sign came on a Tuesday. A severed finger showed up at Taejun's office, wrapped in cloth, delivered by courier. No note, no explanation, just a ring on the finger. A family crest Taejun recognized. "This is from the Lee family," he said quietly. "Our allies in San Francisco." "Who would do this?" Dae asked. Taejun stared at the finger. "Someone declaring war." The bombing happened 3 days later. A Baekdu warehouse on the south side. Storage facility for imports. The explosion tore through the building at 4 a.m. Flames reached 50 feet high. 2 guards died instantly. 5 others were injured. Zaraya arrived with Taejun as firefighters battled the blaze. "This wasn't an accident," she said, studying the blast pattern. "This was professional. Military-grade explosive." Taejun's expression went dark. "Someone sending a message." "What message?" "That they can reach us anywhere." The execution happened 2 days after that. One of Taejun's lieutenants, found in his car, single bullet to the head, clean, precise, execution style. But it was the note pinned to his chest that made Zaraya's blood turn to ice. "She belongs to me." Written in Arabic. Her knees almost gave out. Taejun caught her arm. "Zaraya, what is it?" She couldn't speak, couldn't breathe, because she knew that handwriting. She knew the man who wrote it, and she knew why he was here. "His name is Kamar al-Rashid," she said that night. They were alone in his penthouse, every curtain closed, every lock secured. Taejun sat across from her, waiting. "He's a warlord, West Africa. He ran operations in places that don't exist on maps." Her hand shook. "I worked for him. 5 years. From when I was 16 until I was 21. "Worked for him how?" "He trained me, shaped me, turned me into a weapon." She looked away. "I was his favorite, his best soldier, his property." Taejun's jaw tightened. "Did he? He never touched me. Not like that. But he owned me in every other way." Her voice cracked. "He decided when I ate, when I slept, who I killed. He broke me down and rebuilt me exactly how he wanted." "How did you get away?" "I didn't. I ran. 3 years ago. Changed my name. Changed my life. I thought I was far enough away. I thought he'd never find me. But he did." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "He's here for me. Everything else, the bombing, the executions, that's just him announcing his arrival." Taejun moved to her, knelt in front of her, took her hands. "Listen to me. He's not taking you. I don't care who he is or what he's done. You're mine now, and I protect what's mine." "You don't understand," she sobbed. "You can't fight him. He's not like your enemies. He's not rational. He's not human. He's a monster." "Then I'll kill the monster." "Taejun, no." His voice turned steel. "You're not running. You're not hiding. We face him together, and we end this." She wanted to believe him, wanted to feel safe. But she knew Rashid, and she knew this wouldn't end until one of them was dead. The message came the next night. Not a phone call, not a letter. Rashid's men stormed one of Taejun's safe houses, killed the guards, left a video playing on loop. Zaraya watched it with her hand over her mouth. Rashid sat in a chair, older than she remembered, gray in his beard, but the same cold eyes, the same cruel smile. "Hello, Zaraya," he said in Arabic. "Did you think you could hide from me forever? Did you think I wouldn't find you?" He leaned forward. "You belong to me. You always have. And now you've given yourself to another man. That's unacceptable." He stood. "I'm coming for you. And when I take you back, I'll make sure you never forget who you belong to." But first, I'm going to destroy everything you care about. Starting with him. The video cut to black. Zaraya's whole body shook. Taejun wrapped his arms around her. We're going to end this, he whispered. I promise. But as Zaraya stared at the black screen, she knew one thing with absolute certainty. Rashid wasn't just coming. He was already here, and the war had just begun. The plan was simple: lure Rashid to an abandoned factory on the east side, set up a kill zone. End it. Simple didn't mean easy. Zaraya stood in the center of the factory floor, alone, waiting. The building smelled like rust and old oil. Moonlight cut through broken windows. Taejun and his men were positioned in the rafters, hidden, armed, ready. But Zaraya's hands wouldn't stop shaking. He's going to know it's a trap, she'd told Taejun earlier. Let him know, he'll come anyway. Men like him can't resist proving they're smarter. Now, standing in the dark, she prayed he was right. Footsteps echoed through the building, slow, deliberate, confident. Rashid walked in through the main entrance. 5 men flanked him, all armed, all scanning the shadows. But Rashid's eyes locked on Zaraya. He smiled. There you are. Zaraya's chest tightened. Her voice came out steady despite everything. You need to leave. This doesn't end well for you. Rashid laughed, deep, mocking. Still pretending to be strong, still pretending you have choices. He stepped closer. You ran from me, disrespected me, embarrassed me, and now you think you can threaten me? I'm not threatening, I'm warning. Warnings are for equals. He gestured to his men. Kill everyone hiding in the rafters. Zaraya's stomach dropped. Gunfire erupted, not from Taejun's men, from Rashid's. They'd known, the whole time. Taejun's men fired back, bodies fell, chaos exploded, and Rashid moved toward Zaraya like a storm. He was faster than she remembered. His fist caught her ribs. She felt bone crack, stumbled back. He didn't stop, grabbed her throat, slammed her against a pillar. You think you're free? He hissed in Arabic. You think loving some Korean gangster makes you human again? She clawed at his hand, couldn't breathe. You're mine, Zaraya. You were always mine, and I'm taking you back. She drove her knee into his gut. He grunted but didn't let go. Instead, he threw her. She hit the ground hard, slid across concrete, tasted blood. Rashid pulled a knife. I wanted to do this the easy way, but you chose violence, so violence it is. He came at her. Zaraya rolled, dodged, got to her feet, but he was relentless. The knife slashed. She blocked with her forearm, felt it cut deep. Warm blood poured. She countered, punched his jaw, swept his leg. He fell but took her with him. They crashed to the ground, wrestling, brutal, desperate. He got on top, pinned her. The knife pressed against her throat. You could have been a queen, he whispered. Instead, you chose to be a whore. Zaraya's vision blurred. Blood loss, pain, fear. But through it all, she heard a voice. Taejun. Get off her. Rashid turned his head. Taejun stood 10 feet away, gun raised, blood dripping from a wound on his shoulder, eyes cold as death. This is between me and her, Rashid said. No, this is between you and me now. Rashid laughed. You think you can stop me? You think you're her savior? I don't need to be her savior. Taejun's voice didn't waver. She already saved herself. I'm just making sure trash gets taken out. He fired. One shot. Clean. Lethal. The bullet hit Rashid between the eyes. He slumped forward, dead before he hit the ground. Silence fell like a curtain. Zaraya pushed his body off her, gasping, shaking, covered in blood. Taejun crossed to her, dropped to his knees, pulled her into his arms. It's over, he whispered. He's gone. You're free. Zaraya sobbed. Deep. Broken. Relieved. She sobbed for the girl Rashid stole, for the years he took, for the fear that haunted her dreams. But most of all, she sobbed because it was finally over. Taejun held her while sirens wailed in the distance, held her while his men cleared the building, held her until she stopped shaking. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For seeing me. Not the soldier, not the weapon. Me." He kissed her forehead. "I'll always see you." And in that moment, surrounded by death and blood and ruin, Zoraya felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. 6 months later. The Baekdu organization looked different. Taejun started dismantling the criminal pipelines, slowly, carefully. He couldn't flip a switch and become legitimate overnight, but he could choose better. He invested in neighborhoods that needed it, funded scholarships for kids who looked like him, built community centers in places that had been forgotten. It wasn't clean, it wasn't perfect, but it was honest. And Zoraya helped. She started teaching self-defense classes at the community center. Women who'd survived violence. Kids who needed to feel strong. Anyone who wanted to learn how to protect themselves. She didn't talk about her past, didn't explain where she learned to fight. She just taught. And people called her Ms. Z with affection and respect. The proposal happened on a random Tuesday. No fancy restaurant, no big speech. They were cooking breakfast in his penthouse. Pancakes, bacon, coffee. Taejun turned off the stove and looked at her. "Marry me." Zoraya froze mid-flip. "What? Marry me. Not because you owe me, not because you need protection, but because I love you, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you." She stared at him. "You're serious. Dead serious. We're a disaster. We're perfect." He stepped closer. "You're the only person who's ever really seen me. The only person I trust completely. The only person who makes me want to be better." Tears burned her eyes. "I'm broken, Taejun. So am I." He took her hands. "But we're broken together. And that's enough." She kissed him. Long, slow, deep. "Yes," she whispered against his lips. "Yes, I'll marry you." They got married 3 months later. Small ceremony, no press, no spectacle, just close friends. Jin, Dae, Minjun, and his daughter. A handful of people who knew the truth and loved them anyway. Zoraya wore a simple white dress. Taejun wore a suit. They said their vows in Korean and English. And when they kissed, everyone clapped. It was the happiest day of Zoraya's life. A year after the wedding, they bought a house. Not a penthouse, not a safe house. A real home. Backyard, porch, room for a family they might have someday. Zoraya planted a garden, tomatoes, herbs, flowers. Taejun learned to cook, badly, but she loved him for trying. They had dinner parties, laughed with friends, lived like normal people, or as normal as 2 former killers could be. One Saturday morning, Zoraya stood in the community center kitchen, flipping pancakes for 30 kids. The center had grown. More programs, more funding, more lives changed. Taejun walked in, carrying a box of supplies. Kids swarmed him immediately. Uncle Tae, watch this." A little boy did a cartwheel. Taejun clapped like it was an Olympic performance. Zoraya watched from the kitchen, smiling. He caught her eye, smiled back. This was their life now. Not perfect, not clean, but theirs. They'd both done terrible things, things they couldn't undo, sins they'd carry forever. But they were trying to be better, trying to build something good from the wreckage of who they used to be. That night, they sat on their porch watching the sunset. Zoraya leaned her head on Taejun's shoulder. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "That night in the alley, saving me." "Never." He kissed her temple. "You're the best thing that ever happened to me. Even though I'm dangerous, especially because you're dangerous." He laughed softly. "We're monsters pretending to be human, but at least we're pretending together." She smiled. "I love you. I love you too." They sat in silence, watching the sun disappear. 2 broken people who found each other in the rain. 2 weapons who learned to choose peace. 2 souls who proved that even monsters could be redeemed, if they were willing to fight for it. And they were.